Police Report on Sabahul Muslim.
James, a very good morning to you. I trust that you are well.
Good morning. All is well, and it's a pleasure to be with you as always.
Israel and Cyprus are nearing resolving their dispute about drilling rights in the eastern Mediterranean, while Israel and Lebanon are inching closer to a deal mediated by the United States. Now, resolving the issues could pave the way for the eastern Mediterranean to supply up to 1/3 of European gas needs, thereby reducing dependence on Russia in the process.
Indeed. So if you think back to late last year or early this year, the Eastern Mediterranean was a region full of friction. Israel and Lebanon, Cyprus and Israel, Cyprus and Turkey, Turkey and Egypt. That has changed. Of course, first of all, you're seeing improved relations between Turkey and Israel and Turkey and Egypt. And you're now also seeing improved relations, particularly over a dispute in the Eastern Mediterranean over access to a gas field between Israel and Cyprus. And you're even seeing close to agreement between Israel and Lebanon with Hezbollah's blessing over territorial waters in the Eastern Mediterranean. All of this is geared towards Europe's efforts to reduce dependency on Russian energy. And the expectation is that the Eastern Mediterranean could account for up to 1/3 of European gas needs.
Now, in the run-up to the Qatar World Cup, bidding for mega sporting events is becoming the name of the game, and Egypt seems to be particularly ambitious.
Indeed. So we're about 2.5 months away from the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. That's going to be the first really major global mega tournament to be held in an Arab country, or for that matter, in the Middle East. But particularly Saudi Arabia, but also Egypt, don't want to leave the field to the Qataris. So you've seen already plans for a bid for the 2030 World Cup that would be hosted by Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Greece. That way you would avoid the fact that FIFA doesn't like to put this too often too close to each other in the same region. This way it would be a tripartite approach, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. But Egypt's now going a step further, and it has said that it is bidding for the 2036 World Cup. They don't seem to have drawn the lesson from Qatar, which came under real pressure with regard to labor and human rights, and the soft power benefit of the World Cup remains yet to be seen.
Now, Turkey is feeling the impact of U.S. sanctions at a crucial moment in the export of its drones and other weaponry.
Indeed. So essentially, Turkey has made a name for itself, particularly with drones, but also with helicopters and other weapons. They've performed very well in Ukraine as well as in Libya, and you've just seen the sale this week of drones to the United Arab Emirates. The problem that Turkey is encountering is that it is subject to U.S. sanctions because of its acquisition of the Russian S-400 anti-missile system. This was long before the Ukraine war. And as a result of that, the Turkish assumption that they either could get those sanctions lifted or would be capable of producing the engines for the things themselves, that's proving to have been a bit of an overestimation, and they're now having problems getting the engines they need for their weaponry.
And then finally, release by Russia of foreign fighters in Ukraine seems to be a feather in Saudi Arabia's cap. But even though bin Salman, like UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed, was visibly absent at Queen Elizabeth's funeral, and neither is he in New York for the UN General Assembly at a time of sensitive legal proceedings in the United States that involve the Saudis.
Indeed. So you had two prisoner swaps this week between Ukraine and Russia. One was organized by Turkey, and that was by far the larger number and involved Ukrainian and Russian soldiers. And Turkey comes as no surprise. They have close relations with Russia, and they were the country that, together with the United Nations, brokered the grain export deal from Ukraine with consent of Russia. But here comes Saudi Arabia out of left field, and it has played a role in getting 10 foreign fighters or foreigners who had joined Ukrainian armed forces freed from Russian incarceration. But, and that clearly for the Saudis is a way of trying to demonstrate that they are relevant to the international community, that they are important and cannot be ignored, and should not be ostracized because of very harsh violations of human rights. Well, that's not going to be good enough. You've already seen that both the Saudi Crown Prince and the UAE President were absent in London for the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, simply because they were not going to be accorded the kind of respect and protocol that they had expected, and they feared that they could be subject to judicial procedures.
All right, James, as always, thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure, as always, to be with you.
Have a great week, and we remind our listeners you can check out James's articles on www.jamesmdorsey.net.